Welcome to 49ers After Dark, the only 49ers show on YouTube that's after dark, I'm pretty sure. I'm Grant Cohn. Co-host here is Jesse Naylor. If you don't subscribe to him on YouTube, do so. Last Second Sports. We're going to be talking about the rumors of the day. Everyone seems to think the Niners are getting Mac Jones, like everyone. And all the people that don't go out on a limb, people that really play it safe, Adam Schefter, Matt Mayoko, guys who aren't like fishing for clout. This is just what they do, and they're at the top of the game. So they could be wrong. I mean, the Niners usually surprise people with their big moves. What do you make of this consensus?
Okay, so I think the first thought is wow, Schefter's saying it. And Schefter's pretty plugged in. I think that you made a comment earlier that he wrote a book for Shanahan or published.
Yes,
okay.
He wrote Mike Shanahan's book on how to be great coach.
Okay, so
how to be best.
He knows exactly what they're looking for. That said, and obviously we've got Sims out there that is best friends, besties with Kyle.
They're super BFFs, yes.
Yeah, they are. I mean, tattoos, the whole thing. So with that said, though, I don't think that these guys know exactly what's going on. And I'm not worried as a 49er fan that it's Mac Jones. I'm actually starting to think that all these rumors, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory or that there's some purposeful smokescreen. But what I can say is that the more that you're hearing it, the less likely, in my opinion, that it's going to come true. Because why would the 49ers leak it? And I know that I've heard the other side of it where people say, well, everybody knows who's going 1 and 2, so why wouldn't the 49ers leak it? Well, listen, this is chess. If you can get other teams to speculate on who you're taking and continue to pour their resources and spread themselves thin into figuring out what prospects they want, that's what you need them to do. You've got to have a competitive edge. So why would you leak the fact to big name guys that that's who you want? So the more that I hear it, almost the more that I disagree with it and think it's probably unlikely.
I just think it's like I don't think Schefter's guessing. I don't think Mayoko's guessing. I mean, I could call Mayoko and ask him. I'm not going to. It's none of my business.
Right.
But Schefter, why would he guess? It's no percentage in him to just take an uneducated guess and get it wrong and lose credibility. What I'm guessing is happening here is someone's whispering. And I don't know who, but my best guess is it's Mike. And people are calling Mike, people who've been connected to him. Maybe they're calling Kyle too, saying, Kyle, a lot of people think it's going to be Mac. Is it going to be Mac? And they're saying, look, there is a high probability it could be Mac. Maybe they say something like that. Because what I keep thinking is, I think basically the perception around the league is there's no freaking way the Niners traded up for Mac Jones. You can't do that. You can't sell that. There's no way they did that. So they're saying it's a possibility, but everyone thinks, not everyone. I think there's a significant segment of the NFL that thinks they know something and Zach Wilson's going to fall to 3. And maybe Justin Fields goes number 2 to the Jets because a lot of people are high on Justin Fields. I don't know. But, it seems like, whisper that it could be Mac. That way everyone's, gets their disappointment out of the way. And if Zach Wilson does fall to us, it's the greatest news of all time if people throw a parade.
Yeah, that may be true. I mean, I don't think that it's completely out of the realm of possibility. And I've been meaning to ask you this, and I probably should have done it backstage, but it sounds like you've gotten this insight from somebody, through a Twitter DM that has possibly inside information. I don't know what's going on there, but
basically what I'm hearing is that like no one knows what the Niners are doing.
Okay.
But I know what certain teams think the 49ers are doing. Doesn't mean they know.
Okay.
But basically certain teams are feeling the way that Jim Mora felt when I asked him last week. Like there's no freaking way they traded up for Mac Jones. Maybe that's because they don't think as highly of Mac Jones as the Niners do.
Yeah. And that's a possibility. And I also don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that Fields does go to. I mean, this was the consensus number 2 quarterback for about a year now. So why all of a sudden is he the 5th best guy?
Right.
So is it the Jets leaking things to try to get that driven down possibly so that it doesn't? Who knows? Who knows where that's coming from?
Yeah.
Why is Fields dropping all of a sudden? Because the talent's there. like I said, he's been basically the number 2 guy really since high school if you're comparing him to Lawrence. So why all of a sudden the drop? That's a curious case right there. So who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe Zach does fall to 3.
To me, it's like I'm guessing the Niners feel they're cool with Zach Wilson or Mac Jones, either one, and they prefer Zach Wilson. Well, if you whisper that you're expecting to get Mac Jones, and you end up getting the guy you prefer, you didn't lie. You know, you could tell Schefter, hey man, we never expected. We were totally caught off guard by the Jets. I mean, yeah, Robert Saleh told us 2 weeks ago, we didn't let you know, but I was totally caught off guard. I mean, that was you didn't even expect the Jets to do that. We didn't lie to you, man. I'm sorry. Hey man, it's just one of those things, you know. I think that's the way it could go.
I'll do you one better real quick. So I was listening to a interview today with Tim Hasselbeck, and he said in the draft leading up to Daniel Jones going to the Giants, he has somebody who he considers a very close friend in the Giants organization. And he straight up asked him about Daniel Jones. And he told him, we have no interest in Daniel Jones. And he's like, I believed him all the way through the process. And when they drafted Daniel Jones, he's like, I felt used. Like I was going out and spouting this information that they wanted nothing to do with him. And he's like, the whole thing was a game. And he's like, I never expected that. Like, this guy's one of my best friends. So, like, he's like, I was a little bitter for a while. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that, yeah, maybe Shanahan has talked to these guys and they do genuinely feel that that's who it is. But he's throwing things out there on purpose.
When 5 people come out with the same guess at the same time, I'm suspicious.
Yeah, for sure.
As a veteran journalist, I'm thinking, who are they talking to? They have the same source.
Yep.
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, what does that source have to gain by leaking this information? Doesn't mean it's true, but there's a reason they want this out there. Why?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's possible that they're really going to take Mac Jones and they know it's going to be an unpopular decision, and they're just trying to get Niner fans used to the idea of him now. Or they have a trick up their sleeves. We'll see. Brian says, do you think the signing of Nate Sudfeld adds to suspense that a Jimmy trade could be brewing? Doesn't that make 4 quarterbacks on the roster before the draft? It certainly does. What do you make of this Nate Sudfeld signing? It's quite odd.
It's a little odd, but he came from the Eagles organization. That's where Scangarello came from. So I don't think it's necessarily that odd. What's interesting to me is that, and I don't know how healthy he is, but Mullins, I feel like he is the perfect guy to have around because of his brain to kind of tutor this young quarterback, whoever it is that we bring in. And even if he's on the practice squad. So, because I don't necessarily look at Jimmy as is going to be that guy. I think Jimmy's going to look at this as competition and he's going to try to beat this kid out. He's got something to prove possibly. So I don't think he's the best guy to teach whoever we bring on. So maybe they're looking at Sudfeld as that's a possibility.
He doesn't know the system. He's not particularly young. I mean,
but he knows how to how to stick around in this league. And he knows Scangarello and he knows how he operates. So maybe that can be helpful.
He knows Scangarello. That's very important. There's a comfort there. That knows he can work with him. He knows he's coachable. You don't know that about Josh Rosen.
Right.
You don't know how the Rich Scangarello, Josh Rosen dynamics, going to work out. Yeah. So that makes sense. Only thing, little side note about Nate Sudfeld. I don't think either of us expect him to be anything more than a third-string quarterback this year. Do we? No. Okay.
No.
So what's interesting to me, and this topic we have coming up later, is people keep saying, Kyle's changed. Kyle's different. He's had an epiphany. He's evolved. I mean, he's seen what's happened in the league. He saw how he lost the Super Bowl. He knows now that he needs a mobile quarterback. Boom, signs Nate Sudfeld. Boom, courts Joe Flacco. Signs Josh Rosen. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
You're right.
He's so stubborn, and I kind of like that about him. All right, Richard Sherman wants Justin Fields on the Niners. He wants the Niners to draft him. He's not on the Niners anymore. Why is Richard Sherman saying this?
Okay, so
it's great.
It is great. It's so nice of him to do that for us.
Yeah, speculating. I'm in the media now. No, that's your former team, and you're painting him in a corner. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
He had nice things to say about Jimmy too. I guess that was kind of cool. But he came out and basically said that he felt that Fields as a thrower, take away the scrambling ability, take away the athleticism, that he's worth the pick just based off of his throwing ability. And he says if you add in the fact that he's mobile, he's a no-brainer. And it was crazy because he talked about him, but here's what this is where I caught him a little bit. I don't know if anybody picked up on this, but a couple sentences later, somebody asked him about Lance. I think it was Collinsworth asked him about Lance, and he goes, I don't know a lot about Lance. So I'm like, okay, well, how much are you really digging into these guys, and how much do you really know about how successful these guys are going to be on the next level?
Yeah.
So
or
did you watch a
relationship
national
with his
championship
agent or something? Did someone call you? And was something in this for you? See, what he said, what he said is he thinks the black thing is working against Justin Fields. And I think a lot of black athletes are sensitive about this. And they're like, hey, people are being too harsh. They're being too critical.
For sure.
And that's I think there is something to that. So it's interesting. If Kyle drafts Mac Jones, what's the locker room going to think? These players watch college football. They have opinions. And if you already heard what Richard Sherman said, he thinks this guy has elite traits and should be the pick. If Kyle goes for the white guy who looks like, me, then maybe some of these players start to question how much they truly, truly trust him the way they used to.
I think that's a really good point. And I was actually listening to your show an hour ago or whatever. And I said that in the comments. I said that this is actually an important decision from that standpoint, because as a veteran in this league, and we know that most of the league is black players. And if you have a chance to take two black players that are transcendent possibly, and you pass on them, quarterbacks, exactly.
Leaders of the franchise.
Yes.
It means a lot. I mean, I remember listening to Sherman talk about Jameis Winston and Cam Newton and Kyler. He's like, these players mean a lot to us. Black quarterbacks are important. We want them to flourish. So for Kyle to keep saying like, nah, he's not, he doesn't fit Deshaun Watson didn't fit. Patrick Mahomes didn't fit. Kaepernick didn't fit. I mean, he could be right about Justin Fields, but at a certain point, some of these players in the locker room might be like, really?
Yeah, what's up?
Sherman's looking at like, what's up, dude? What's going on with this?
Yeah, and that really does matter when you're trying to bring in free agents, and not only that side, but if you have minority coaches as well. Like those two things matter to these players. They really do, and they should.
That's why I'm not convinced that the Jets are going to take Zach Wilson at 2. You're really going to take
Sam Darnold 2.0?
Sam Darnold 2.0 from Utah that no one in New York has ever seen on television over Justin Fields, who's been on every Saturday night game. I mean, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure is from the East Coast.
Yes, exactly. Comment is, we will trade Jimmy and Warner to the Jets for 2nd overall pick, and we will have 2nd and 3rd pick Wilson and Pitts coming to the Bay.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
I would love that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I love the gut. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we should be paying you for that. Yeah. That's good. I like that. Yeah, why not?
What's your cash app, man? I got you.
I like that. That's clever, man. If they can get Kyle Pitts on this team, I honestly feel this team can make a serious run with Jimmy, with Josh freaking Rosen, not with Sudfeld.
Yeah, not with Sudfeld. You draw the line at Sudfeld.
All right, next topic. Steve Young also saying what the Niners need to do. First, it was Joe Montana saying just get a freaking young guy. And now it's Young saying, well, I know the Shanahans. And Kyle, in a perfect world, would prefer a mobile quarterback. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant because he's putting pressure on the organization. He's pressing the organization.
Don't do the Mac Jones thing.
Do not do it. Don't make that mistake.
Don't do it.
But he's also saying, what he's saying is true. Kyle made it not only work with Steve Young, he made it elite with Steve Young. Mike did. Sorry, Mike did. Gotcha. And same thing with Elway. Like, these are guys that they can make it work with. Mm-hmm. Now, he was also very clear saying, hey, you've got to be able to do it from the pocket first. And as long as you can do that, if you can also add in the athleticism, that's a no-brainer. And if you don't think, he basically said that it's the notion that he doesn't want somebody that's mobile is ridiculous. Right. So he really pressed him on it, to be honest.
And, and he said stuff like Kyle said, like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, everyone wants a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, everyone wants a quarterback who can do everything. But it's only like when you don't have that, what are you willing to sacrifice? And that's a perfectly fair point. But when Kyle says that thing about, well, everyone would want a Patrick Mahomes or a Deshaun, dude.
Yeah.
Who passed on Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You had the opportunity. And why didn't you take him? Don't give me the thing about Kirk Cousins. There was something you didn't quite like enough. You weren't quite sold on about, was it the fact that they played in spread offenses? You couldn't see him do X, Y, Z, whatever it was, you were wrong. And now you're trying to backtrack the way anyone would like that, dude. No, you have a type, dude.
Yeah.
You're never going to be in a position to get Steve Young or John Lynn or John Elway. Those are generational dudes.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. And you're always going to be settling for, Nate Sudfeld of the world, Matt Shaw,
yeah,
that's your track record, Kyle. So quit lying.
Yeah, that's. It's
so plausible. Yeah. It seems like everyone around him is like, Kyle, you don't want to do this, man. You don't want to do this. It's really gonna be bad for you. He's like, dude, I've never second guessed myself in my life, but he might want to this time because people won't forgive him if he gets this wrong.
Kyle's the only kid that burned his hand on a stovetop and then did it a second time.
I'm good. Didn't even hurt. Yeah.
The blister totally protects you. It's
I didn't actually do anything wrong. It was supposed to be off. Technically I executed, Guys were open. All right. Making a case for and against the top 3 quarterbacks. Let's go good cop, bad cop here. Okay. Someone says why the Niners definitely should take a guy. And I'm going to be like, well, actually. Okay. So why don't you do it? Why don't we go, I don't know.
We'll start with Mac Jones. We'll start with Mac Jones because he's the least favorite of both of us, and let's get it out of the way. All right. So Mac Jones, the reasons to take him is he's the most pro ready. He already runs a pro offense. He's elite. It was
built in Shanahan's image. Sorry, I'm not going.
Right. Yeah. The whole thing. By the way, if you watch them on Saturday, it's right after you watch a 49er game the Sunday previous, you're going to see the same plays. So that's a reason. He throws with anticipation. He has command of the offense. The receivers that are coming out this year says that he's elite as far as his smarts and his ability to run that offense. I mean, why wouldn't you take Mac Jones? He can do everything that Jimmy can do, except for he'll stay healthy and he will anticipate at a much higher level. And he can throw a deep ball.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, let me rebut here. First of all, I could be sold on taking Mac Jones at number 3 if you just had the number 3 pick. Because the way I look at it is everyone loved Tua last year.
Yep.
I mean, all the respected draft analysts were like, Tua could go number 1. Tua's right there with Burrow for me. I love Tua. And now people talk about Mac Jones like he's a second-round prospect. No, he's, in my opinion, better than Tua. If you really watch, Mac Jones has the anticipation Tua doesn't.
Yep.
So if Tua could go 5th, Jones could go 3rd. If he's being compared to Matt Ryan was a 3rd pick. We saw what Matt Ryan did. It's fine. But the issue here is that they traded 3 firsts and a 3rd. And there is no world, no future, no possibility of Mac Jones ever being worth 3 firsts and a 3rd. I like Mac Jones. I think he does a lot of things well. There's no freaking way he's worth that. He doesn't have that kind of upside. And short of him winning a Super Bowl and being the Niners starting quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years, he's always going to be looked at as a disappointment. Fans are always going to wish they took someone else. And they're going to just nitpick everything he does the way they do already with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. That side of it is way easier. So let me join you real quick.
You did a good job.
Let's be honest. Mac Jones almost didn't even start for Alabama this year. He had to win a quarterback competition to even get the starting job. He is a late 1st round to early 2nd round talent in most worlds. If they don't win the national championship,
retrospect, Tua was as well. Tua was as well.
Right.
Tua was a fugazi.
He was. He absolutely was. So with that said, though, Mac Jones. With that said, you're right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head.
You're going to lose the trade.
You cannot. That cannot be the guy. It can't be the guy.
You're going to lose the trade, Kyle. Yeah. I'm trying to help you out. If you take Kyle Pitts, there's a possibility you won't lose the trade because there's a possibility he goes to the Hall of Fame and is the best tight end of all time.
Yep.
He has that kind of upside. Mac Jones, what is his upside?
Yeah.
Matt Ryan is not worth 3 first-round picks at any point in his career. At no point was he ever worth that. So it's got to be. That's why people on teams around the league are like, no, it's not. It can't be. It's not. can't be. They know something. It's got to be Justin Fields. Maybe not, but Zach. Anyway, so we'll see. All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right, let's go Trey Lance.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Ron says, who has a stronger arm, Jimmy or Mac? They're pretty freaking similar, man. The difference is more like the speed with which it comes out with Mac. He's decisive. It's more like Breeze. 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, 3 out, and that's what Jimmy can't do. But it's easy to be decisive when you're playing in Alabama and you're throwing to everyone who's open. I mean, why would you have to think twice? Just let it rip. And White Wizard said Trask a better quarterback than Jones, 70%, 3 years. Yep. Kyle, don't do it, Kyle.
Yeah,
talking to you, Shenny.
You're preaching to the choir here. I love Trask, so you don't have to sell me on that idea.
And it always kills me with how people just dismiss him on, like, you'll try to have a discussion and be like, well, actually, if you look at the numbers, Trask is surprisingly good at this. Why? And people be like, nah, he's going to be a career backup. Like, oh, all right, well, you got me. I didn't have a rebuttal for that, and your supporting evidence is so strong. I just can't stop it right there. Jonathan says Justin Fields has that it factor. You can't take Mac Jones with the division getting better and better. Well, do you want to do Justin Fields right now then?
We can do Justin Fields for sure.
Let's do Justin Fields.
Okay. So, first of all, nobody has a stronger arm in this class than Justin Fields. Okay. He is the fastest quarterback as well, if you want to add that on top. So, he's got 4.4 speed, possibly high 4.3 speed. The strongest arm. He does. He plays in a pretty complex offense with some option or choice routes, whatever you want to call it.
That's true.
He played against elite competition.
No doubt.
And he improved. If you look at the chip that he got on his shoulder last year with losing to Lawrence, who, by the way, he's always come up short against Lawrence. He's always been the second guy. Mm-hmm. He had something to prove. And he went out and did just that, beating the best quarterback in this class. Mm-hmm. You add in the fact that you want a guy that wants to play football. Justin Fields definitely wants to play football. He's the one that led the charge to get the Big Ten to play football this year. And you saw it again when he broke his ribs, allegedly, against Clemson. And for him to finish that game with 6 touchdown passes and then play pretty decent without his starting running back in the national championship against a far better Alabama team, dude, how can he not be your guy?
Okay. I'm mixed on Justin Fields because I think he could succeed in certain situations. Like if you swapped out him for Kyler Murray in Arizona, or you swapped out him for Russell Wilson in Seattle and put him in an offense where things are spread out and they're asked to hold the ball a long time. Just hold it, let the play develop, throw deep, or run. All of those are good options. He could thrive in that. But that's not what the Niners offense is. The Niners offense is make a quick, accurate decision, get the ball out of your hands, be a distributor, not a playmaker. And he's a playmaker. He's not a natural distributor. And when I say that is like he holds the ball a long time. I mean, there's stats to show that. And then the other thing is when you watch the tape, unlike Mac Jones, who gets the ball out of his hands quickly, doesn't hold it very long, and reads the defense correctly, gets the ball to the right read more often than not, that is Justin Fields' weakness. I'm not saying he's a one-read quarterback because that's too simple. It doesn't really.
It is.
His ability to make a decision quickly is not there yet. And his ability to read the defense quickly and accurately is not there yet. Consistent.
You're right.
Who is that like? Who is that like? Jimmy. So they have different skill sets.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has all the arm strength and mobility that Jimmy doesn't have, but in terms of weaknesses, they're the same. And the reason the Niners are getting rid of Jimmy is because of that weakness. They've tried for 4 years to help him become more decisive, like Drew Brees or Kirk Cousins or Tom Brady, and it's not happening for him in this offense. And I think they might feel, if we couldn't help Jimmy in this area, why can we help Justin Fields? Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's not something you learn. Maybe it's a natural gift, like quick twitch and running. Maybe it's quick twitch in your brain, something like that.
Yeah.
That's not to mention that he comes from a spread offense and may not be ready to play right away in the Niners kind of an offense. I think he could play right away for the Cardinals.
Yep.
But the Niners is different.
Yep. And I'll say this. I mean, if we take, and obviously I would much rather have Fields than Jones. Lance is my guy. But if we take either of those guys, Kyle's going to have to adjust his offense. Like he can't run what he's always, or what he's been running. He's going to have to open up the playbook. He's going to have to go downfield, and he's going to have to start using his quarterback in a mobile sense. So,
but he hasn't changed any part of his team since 2019. I mean, structurally, philosophically, he wants to keep that, formula together. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have that element where you've got all these formations where they run Debo, they run Mostert, they do all these things. And now you add the added element of being able to kick the quarterback out the backside on a naked bootleg. It's like, ooh, okay. So all these things already look the same and they're already confusing when you have two options. Imagine adding that third option.
Final point on why I'm against Fields. I do agree that he has higher upside than Mac Jones. I think
100%.
I think Fields could be a bust. It's not a politically correct thing to say.
No,
but
he could.
I think he could be a bust the way every single Ohio quarterback has been. I think he's better than the previous ones. But Richard Sherman was talking about how his passing numbers are so good. Yeah, they're about the same as Dwayne Haskins' passing numbers. And that didn't translate.
They're not as good, actually.
Exactly. Dwayne Haskins completed 70%. Dude completed 68%. Dwayne Haskins had 9.1 yards per attempt. Fields had 9 points. I mean, it's kind of the system. It didn't translate for Haskins or any quarterback ever from Ohio State. The difference is this guy can run better. I'm open-minded, but I don't just look at the box score and be like, oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right there. There you go. So I'm afraid that he could be a bust.
All of these quarterbacks have a weakness, okay? And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but all of these quarterbacks have a weakness. And at the end of the day, if you take a chance on a Lance or you take a chance on a Fields, it is a major boomer bust thing. But at this point, to your point, we've made a boomer bust move. You cannot go 90% in pre-flop. And then once you see the first three cards, say, "Oh, I'm not calling the final 10%. Let's go Mac Jones." But that's not how this works.
If they do go Mac Jones, it's because they feel like, look, I know he can have a base level of success in this offense. I've seen enough. With Justin Fields, it's so boom or bust. It's so volatile. I'm not putting my career in the line like that. So it's the safe play. I don't know what the right answer is. I think the right answer is don't trade 3 first-round picks for the third pick in the draft. Get the second pick. Get the first pick. You should have got the first pick.
Right.
I think the Niners should get Trevor Lawrence. I really think that's the move.
I wish.
Get him. All right. Let's talk real quick about the Justin Fields fan club because.
Well, hold on. Let me sell you on Lance first. Then we'll get into that. Then we'll get into snap.
Everyone forgets about Trey Lance, man. Why is this?
Need to stop forgetting about Trey Lance. He's the guy.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, let's talk.
All right. So we just talked about the athleticism of Fields.
True.
But we also talked about how he got injured and he fought through that injury, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a mobile guy, you want him to be built like an Adonis. And that is exactly what you're getting from Trey Lance. So he's bigger.
His pro day? Wow.
Yeah. He looked
way
the
bigger
part.
than Fields. Yes.
So he looks the part. Speaking of a strong arm, he's right there with Fields.
True.
He ran an offense that is pro style as well. You can see him come from under center, which is very important to Kyle.
Yes.
And let's not forget what type of person he's shown to be. This is the type of guy, you think about Russell Wilson in Seattle, the type of guy that everybody got behind because he's visiting children's hospitals in his off time. Lance does the same thing. So if you want somebody to be the face of your franchise and has all the physical tools that you can ask for, Lance is definitely your guy.
And something I like about him that no one's mentioned, not to argue your point,
you're good.
But he's the opposite of Fields in the sense that Fields has been crowned at a young age. He's a scout rivals king. I mean, he's been a 5-star recruit since he was 15 years old. He went to Ohio State and Georgia. He went wherever the hell he wanted to go. And if it didn't work out, I mean, that's just the way it went. Everyone still likes him. Trey Lance, everyone was like, he applied to schools. They were like, yeah, you could play middle linebacker. You can play. And he's like, no, I'm betting on myself. I'm a quarterback. And you love to see a young man who's that driven and determined. Because what you learn as an older man is that determination trumps everything. It trumps talent. It trumps it. It's what you need. And if he has it, then that bodes extremely well. He certainly looks like a hard worker.
The other thing that I'll say about Lance is all of these other quarterbacks we just saw a couple months ago. Okay. The strides that they've made from then to draft time is not going to be huge. Lance, we really haven't seen in a year. And he was very, very young that first year playing in college, 19 years old. You don't think that his quarterback coaches have been putting him through the ringer to make him better over the last year? They've been focusing only on him. Think about this. It's a different sport, but I'm an MMA fan, okay? And as an MMA guy, when you first join the ranks, you're just a part of a team. You're training with everybody else. But once you make it big, everybody's there to train you and hone your skills.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So that's what's happened with Lance. Yes, Fields was getting help throughout the year from his coaches, and that's fantastic. And so were all these other guys. But they were a part of a team, and they were trying to win championships. To where Lance, they've been working just on getting him ready to be better, to be a better pro prospect, frankly. So we haven't seen it yet on the field, but it could translate really, really well, a lot better than what we're expecting, because we're still looking at film of 2019 Lance, who was only a 19-year-old kid.
Also, 0 career turnovers. And like Mac Jones, he's a champion.
Yes.
He won the 1AA national championship, which I think is significant. I mean, you would think, oh, that doesn't matter.
And he was the FCS Heisman too.
True. But again, you're running Jimmy Garoppolo out of town because he didn't win the Super Bowl. Right. So you're trying to sell Jed, sell the fan base on this guy's a winner. This guy won his championship.
Yep.
Mac Jones won his championship. Justin Fields never did. I wonder if maybe that doesn't matter, but it's something to think about. Okay, my turn for Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Everything you said about him is interesting. I like a lot of stuff about him. But I just can't get over the lack of reps. He has, I think, 208 completions since high school. No JUCO.
Yeah.
And so all the good things you want to say about Trey Lance, there's just no precedent of a quarterback coming into the league that green and succeeding. It's never happened before. I mean, the least experienced quarterbacks were Kyler Murray, who probably completed 400 passes in a year. I mean, he threw a lot more. He was used differently. So people say, well, he could be the next Josh Allen. Like, it might take more than 3 years for Trey Lance. He's so green, and that's not his fault. It's just what you got to know about him when you take him in the first round. Scary. Another guy who could bust just because it's going to take time. I mean, look at Taysom Hill. He's still developing. He started a long time at BYU, threw a lot of passes. Maybe Trey Lance is just a total natural and it won't matter, but he would be a first. He would be an outlier.
Well, I'm gonna throw out a plug real quick because I spent 25 minutes on the phone before this show with Lance's quarterback coach.
Boom.
And by the way, I knew that he had worked with Fields. He's actually been working with Justin Fields for the last 3 years. So he's worked with both of these guys. Okay. Cool. He said, and he loves both of them, and he thinks that both of them have a tremendous upside. But he's also worked with guys like Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
And he said to me that Lance, bar none, is the most talented prospect he has ever laid his eyes on.
Oh, wow.
So that to me holds a lot of clout.
More than Fields.
More than Fields. He likes a lot of things about Fields. He thinks that Fields is great, and he thinks that both of them deserve to be basically 2 and 3. But he thinks that Trey Lance, and who knows how it translates, but just as a prospect, he thinks that he is like the bee's knees when it comes to prospects.
Interesting. Well, that's a cue for us to watch the interview. Can't wait to see it. That'll be coming out soon, I hope.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Jackhammer and I will be doing Hammer and Nail Show on my platform, and it will be live. So QB coach Sean McAvoy will be joining us, and we'll be talking all of those things.
His name is Sean McAvoy? Sean
McAvoy.
That's like 2 letters away from Sean McVay.
It is. It's pretty good.
Cool. Love the take on Trey Lance and determination, old man wisdom. Yeah, it just struck me like you don't always see 19-year-olds who have that kind of drive. I mean, that's more something you get when you're like 38 and you're about to be, you're about to miss out on whatever you wanted to do in life, and you got to really get serious, like 19. Wow, nice job, dude. Because I don't know if Justin Fields ever had to do anything like that. No one's ever told him, be a linebacker. It's not going to work out for you, son. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Justin Fields fan club. It's very interesting. They are big, and they accept zero criticism.
Zero.
And they have an explanation for every criticism you could throw. If he's this, here's an example of him doing what you said he didn't do. So I just invalidated your entire critique. What do you think of the Justin Fields fan club?
Dude, I can't. It's hard, man. It's really hard. And the thing is that a lot of people that I really respect are a part of this fan club and this Fields mob, I guess I'll call it. But it's hard to be on Twitter sometimes because you can't say anything that questions
nothing
Fields as a prospect without just being berated and having 50 likes on that comment, proving you wrong as to what you just said, when it's 100% true, by the way.
Yeah. But I get it, though, in the sense it's like there is a history of black quarterbacks getting too much scrutiny coming out of college.
Right.
It's happened before. Right. And I think he was the one who got all the scrutiny out the gate this year. No one knows who the hell Trey Lance is.
Right.
It was Justin Fields. He's the marquee dude from Ohio State. And I think he got it. And everyone's like, here we go again. Even though a lot of it is valid. I mean, everything Chris Sims says, I agree with. But and he's not doing it just because, he's racist. He liked Lamar Jackson.
Right.
He loved Lamar Jackson. So I think there's a little bit of like, you know what? We're not going to let this happen again. We're not going to let this happen. And you know what? I get that. I totally get that. Maybe me and my Jewish brethren should have had Josh Rosen's back a little bit more.
Right.
I totally get wanting to be the counter, counter force. But it's quite interesting to see what you can get caught up in. I mean, I just put out a tweet comparing Haskins and Fields throwing motion. Yeah. It was like I got canceled for 2 days. I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. So, yeah.
It blows my mind. Like, all right. So I literally had a back and forth with someone and I showed them word for word what Shane Day from Ohio State said their offense was. And you know what the comeback was?
What?
That article doesn't know what it's talking about. That they completely fabricated that whole thing because really it's all about choice routes and option routes and going deep. And I'm like,
how do you argue?
This is literally from his mouth. What their offense is. Yes, it talks about option routes and choice routes, but as far as the intermediate game, it is high-low read. As far as the shallow game, it's going to be a crosser game. Yes, there is those option routes built in, and I talked about his 3.11 second hold ball time. Well, that's because everybody's on an option route. Well, actually, when they do those routes, it's one player on that. Right. He has anticipation issues. This is not me saying he's a one-read quarterback because he's absolutely not that. You can see his head turning every play. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have weaknesses. All of these guys have weaknesses. None of these guys are 100% pro ready, and that's Lawrence included.
Dude, he plays like Tarzan, and he processes like Jimmy. Okay? That's Justin Fields. Plays like Tarzan, processes like Jimmy. He processes like Jimmy. And that's not the worst thing you could say about a quarterback. Jimmy's won a lot of games, but we know how Kyle Shanahan feels about that dude and why they're trying to move on. You really think they're going to bring in the dude with the same issue? Maybe.
By the way, if Fields never improved that, just based off of his athleticism and the way that he can play in his skill set now, he could still be a top 15 quarterback in this league. And can he improve that? Sure, of course he can. Yes. But it doesn't mean that it's not something that he is perfect at. He has to work on these things.
Shay says, I dare you to guys to debate Akash on Fields. That man comes prepared. Nah, that's man, fine. I've tried. He wins every time. I can't.
You can't say
that. Anytime you say something, they're like, oh, you can't say that because he did it this one time. Against Penn State. You can't say that. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to debate it, man. Let's just see what Justin Fields does in this career. I'm rooting for him. I'm not rooting to be right. Who cares? Go Justin Fields.
I would be happy if he was our quarterback. Like that's the other thing is that almost
you
it's
want
funny.
him. You don't want Mac Jones.
No, I definitely don't. But it's funny because I could literally say, hey, these are his deficiencies, but I hope that he's the pick because the alternative is Mac Jones. And I think that Fields has top 10 upside in this league. None of that is taken into consideration. It's what did you say bad about him? And let's go to war. Like, okay.
I don't think he's Deshaun Watson, but if he's Jimmy Garoppolo with a rocket arm and 4.4 speed, well, I mean, you can work with that.
Yeah, of course you can.
It may not be Kyle Shanahan's cup of tea, and that's basically what I'm saying. I don't think Kyle's going to take him. I could be wrong. It doesn't mean he's not going to be good. If he went to a team that spreads it out, lets him run the ball, lets him hold it, lets him throw it deep, like Seattle, of course he's not going to go to Seattle. He could do great, and he's the kind of guy who could have a ton of success early on, like RG3. In fact, they have a lot in common. Maybe RG3 was a little skinnier, 5 pounds, but about the same. Really fast guys with rocket arms who you could argue RG3 won a Heisman. Did he not win a Heisman? He won a Heisman. So RG3 had a really good rookie year and got hurt. Some people think
he won. Didn't he win Rookie of the Year though?
Yes, also? He was the Heisman.
He won it over Andrew Luck.
That's right.
Okay.
So Justin Fields could definitely be a baller. I just don't think Kyle's going to want him. And maybe that's going to lead to him getting fired.
Did he win a Heisman? I don't remember if he won a Heisman. He could have. I don't know.
I think I remember.
Somebody in the chat, hook us up. Did he win a Heisman?
Remember he had the braces? I thought he had the braces. He was kind of a goober. There's something about him.
He was.
A little gooberish. Okay. This one's interesting. Najee Harris was asked who he's talking to, and he said, actually, I've had the most contact with the 49ers. They've been in not constant contact, but continued contact with Najee Harris. What do you make of that?
Okay, so I've got to be honest because my mind went a little bit different on this. I know that off rip you think, okay, well, they have interest in Najee Harris. I almost look at it as, are they talking to Najee in a roundabout way, trying to figure out what it was like playing at Alabama and what type of things was Mac Jones actually having to process? Like, is this in a roundabout way to figure out what kind of player Mac Jones is?
They do that all the time. All the time. That's possible for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of where my mind went. I also think, Najee Harris, by the way, is a very good player. And if we could get Najee Harris, that would be amazing. And the Beast was on your show, and he basically said, Beast Rider, he said that
he loves Najee.
He does. And he thought the 49ers should draft him at 12.
That's right.
I almost, that guy knows way too much sometimes. And I almost feel like he'll throw things out there.
Good.
He is way too good. I feel
way
like
too good.
I feel like he'll throw things out there, but it's like he actually knows that there's some credence to it.
I know. I don't know how he does what he does, but he's been one of the most connected dudes I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I love when people doubt Ryan. It's like,
yeah. Okay. He's amazing.
My guy. That's my guy.
So there actually could be something.
Harris could be in round 2. I was looking at Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft today. Najee wasn't in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he falls to round 2, would the Niners take Najee Harris in round 2? I think they absolutely would.
If they could get him that far, at some point the hate has gone way too far, and you just got to take a good talent. I mean, there's no way. I honestly think that he'll go in the top 20. Look out. In fact, look out for the Cardinals at 16.
Yeah. Whew, that would be rough for the Niners. Mm-hmm. You know, everyone remembers Mike Shanahan as, getting these undrafted free agents, late round
Landis,
picks.
Gary,
Mike Anderson, Terrell Davis. Yeah, but he also drafted Clinton Portis in the second round with the 51st pick.
Yeah.
And would the Niners take – Najee Harris is a better prospect. I remember Clinton Portis. He was all right. Yeah. He was on one of them great teams at freaking Miami, but Frank Gore was better.
He was.
Willis McGahee was better, I thought.
Yep.
Clinton Portis was really good, though.
Yeah.
And he was on one of these college all-star teams, kind of like Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's a run-first team. They don't have consistency at the position. Mostert can't stay healthy. Wilson can't stay healthy. They fumble. I think they would definitely be up for Najee Harris. I don't know if they would trade up to get him, but if he's there at 43, which he may not, I think.
I don't think he will, but I think that they absolutely, if he was there, yes. Yes. Resounding yes.
Yeah. Just imagine, it's like everyone's thinking about the quarterback and what that can do for a win now. But what is Mac Jones or Justin Fields really going to do as a rookie? Maybe the guy who gets the Niners back to the Super Bowl is Najee Harris.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, look at what Ezekiel Elliott did for the Cowboys when he first hit that team. He had a really big – he changed that team.
You mentioned Clinton Portis, and I forget what the kid's name is that plays for – gosh, I wish I could remember his name. He plays for North Carolina. At any rate, that dude looks just like Clinton Portis. He has the same build.
Michael Carter or the other?
No, the other one.
The other dude. Okay, they're not Michael Carter. Okay,
they're not Michael Carter. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If the Niners should get one of those North Carolina dudes, or, I mean, it doesn't have to be Najee. It could be him. It could be one of the North Carolina dudes or Travis Etienne. One of the four. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. It worries me a little bit because there's other needs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Sudfeld ran a 4.93 at his pro day. He will compete with Rosen for quarterback number 3. Kyle still wants a pocket passer, so we were probably drafting Mac Jones. Don't.
You know it's true. You know it's true. Don't say it, Curtis. Say it ain't true. I'm still saying Zach Wilson. I can't believe that Kyle Shanahan is that. What is the word? I mean, is that reckless?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, people don't trust you that much anymore. They still like you, but this will test some loyalty.
Okay, let me ask you this. So just honest opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think when they traded up that they had their eye on one guy specifically and they're banking on that guy being there? Or do you think that there is 2 guys that they were okay with having?
They're trying to sell us that they're okay with having Mac Jones, and I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. I think that they feel that Fields is going 2 and they're going to get Wilson. If I'm wrong and they end up taking Mac Jones at 3 or Justin Fields at 3, I mean, I guess I'll just be like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I hope you're right. I hope you get this right because I really enjoy covering you, and I don't want to meet a new coach and stuff. But wow. I mean, at least with the RG3 trade, they got the number 2 pick in the draft. This is for the number 3 pick, and if it's Mac Jones, if it's Trey Lance, God, there's a lot of downside on all of those guys, man. I hope Kyle knows what he's doing because he's had some bad history with trades, but there's always time for the first good one.
Listen, the percentages are not in their favor. Not only has he had bad history with trades, but with first-round draft picks, and then you add in the fact that you brought it up, all the quarterbacks that have not panned out that are first-round draft picks or top 5 picks. It's like, oh, dude.
Top 5 picks. I mean,
we've got to get lucky.
In particular.
We've got to
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, all outside the top 5. The last 5 or 6 years, the top 5 picks have been disappointing.
Yeah.
Who's the best top 5 pick of the past 5 years? Kyler.
Yeah.
Kyler. And other than that, it's
and then dare I say Baker?
Kyler and Baker.
That's not exciting. Baker's not exciting.
Darnold, no. Wentz, Goff, Jameis, Marcus Mariota. I mean,
that's it. Yeah, that's not good.
Last topic. So I'm thinking quarterback 1, running back 2.
Yeah,
we don't necessarily. It could happen. Where do you think corner fits into the equation?
It should fit round 2, in my opinion. And this is, I tweeted this out, and I kind of meant it low key. Is I miss the days where we were drafting at 12, because the speculation there was, could we get J.C. Horn, who, by the way, Richard Sherman, if he knows anything, he knows cornerbacks, and he was very clear that J.C. Horn is by far the best corner in this draft.
So that
same interview that he was talking about Fields, he talked about that. Nice. So the thought was, oh my gosh, what if we can get J.C. Horn and then get a quarterback, whoever that was, Matt, Mond, Trask, Davis, whoever, later on. Like, that was the excitement. Now we're not going to get J.C. Horn unless something crazy happens. So we still have a weakness at cornerback. Right. We don't have a future there. Like, we've got a stopgap 1 year and that's it. So who are some guys that can fall to us? Let's say 5 guys go in round 1. There's still some really good guys out there in round 2, and a couple guys that I wrote down. So we just did top 5 defensive players at every position a couple days ago, and I had corners. So a couple guys that I think could slip to round 2 that I had in my top 5 were Greg Newsome, the second from Northwestern. He's 6'1", ran a 4.38 40.
That'll do it.
He's got amazing hips, very athletic. Nice. He tracks the ball extremely well. And obviously, he can play outside. And then the other guy that I wrote down was Aaron Robinson out of UCF. He's 5'11.5". He can play outside or inside, which I like. He's better suited to be a nickel corner. But all the things that I liked about JC Horn, this guy is a smaller version of JC Horn. He bullies people on the line. So if we could get an Aaron Robinson or a Greg Newsome in round 2, I would love it.
You got any names round 3? Because I'm thinking that might be. They haven't drafted a corner before round 3 since I was in middle school or high school, maybe.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right.
Organizational decision.
You're right. Yeah. So a couple guys and these guys could be late round 2, early round 3 guys. Both guys out of Georgia, Tyson Campbell and Stokes.
Ooh, I like
both those guys.
They're good.
There's Paulson Edebo out of Stanford.
Oh, nice. I've seen him before. What
Right.
about Cam Bynum out of Cal?
Cam Bynum's another name.
There's depth in this draft. Okay.
There's a lot of guys. Honestly, there could be 15 to 20 corners that could be legit starters in this league if they get in the right system.
That's cool.
Corner is super, super deep. I would like to get 2 of them if possible, but we'll see.
Got to. I haven't done a ton of scouting of corners this year because I've been focused on quarterbacks, but I remember scouting Cam Bynum last year because after the Niners drafted Ayuk, I really wanted to see him against pretty much everyone.
Yep.
And the one corner who made me question whether Ayuk was going to be a stud was Bynum. Bynum pressed him. Bynum ran with him. Pretty much shut him down. Just one game though, and there were plays where Ayuk was open and the rookie quarterback didn't see him. But still, good physical big corner. I like him. Yeah, and a good defense.
Yeah, Trill Williams is another name off the top of my head that I could think of. Great corner name. There's a lot of dude. Lenore out of Oregon.
Yes.
There's a lot of guys. So,
all right. Well, they're on the radar now. We'll take a couple questions before we dip. Joshua the Frank. It's a good name. Says, why would Joe Douglas, former Eagles exec, lie and then tell the truth to the Niners about Wilson for Saleh? Atlanta, Carolina trade out. It's clear it's Max, sadly. I guess.
Why would Joe Douglas lie, and then tell the truth to the 49ers about Wilson for Saleh?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we're trying to connect the dots too much. At least I hope we are.
It just seems to me that it's possible that Saleh would say, look, I can't tell you who we're going to take, but I can tell you who we're not going to take. It's between us. Yeah. I'm not telling you who we're taking it to, but I'll tell you it's not going to be Zach Wilson. Maybe I'm naive, but there is a prevailing feeling around the league that there's no freaking way that the Niners are really going to take Mac Jones.
Okay. Here's an argument against that.
Okay.
I think that there was a lot of credence to Carolina wanting Trey Lance. Okay. So if that's the case, if Mac Jones was going 3, why would Carolina trade for Darnold now? So I actually think that
wants Trey Lance.
I just think that he fits exactly what they want. I think he is the perfect quarter. Plus, by the way, there's a couple guys on my stream that are Carolina guys, and everything they're diehard Carolina guys. I mean, diehard as it gets, they know as much as you can know from a fan standpoint. And they thought Trey Lance was their guy the whole way. So based off of what they're hearing and they're reading, sure, they could be wrong, but why make that trade now if Lance is possibly going to be available if we go Mac Jones? And Atlanta, we've also heard rumors that they would want Lance or possibly Fields. So why are all of a sudden they in the trade market at 4? So I don't think anybody knows what's going on. I think everybody's just trying to get better. And they know that quarterbacks are going top 3, regardless of who they are, and they're trying to make their teams better. So, I'm not sure.
Last question. Mulamed says, where do you see Javon Holland out of Oregon, and what position does he play?
So, Javon Holland, I think, would be better suited as a safety. He can play corner, and he's done both at the college level. But Javon Holland, if he plays safety, probably, in my opinion, is going to be the best safety out of this draft. I think he's an absolute stud, and he should go round 2, in my opinion.
Good to know. Thanks for having the answer. I never heard of him. I'm going to go pass out. I had the second shot of COVID today. Thank you for the great nurse who hooked me up. I feel a little tired. Jesse, this was a great show. I always look forward to this with you. 49ers After Dark, baby. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right, guys.
See you next week.